disclaimer, I'm not a really big boxing fan, but I watch certain fights, including the fight between, what do you call him? Um, Francis Ngannou and Tyson Fury. Yeah. So I watched that fight, and I remember predicting when everyone was saying, no, Francis Ngannou does not have a chance, you know, but again, Tyson Fury is going to run through him and is going to destroy him and all those type of things. I was like, I mean, that's not true. I've seen what Francis Ngannou can do. Even the lead up, leading up to the fight, um, a lot of people were basically saying things like, um, Francis Ngannou is not on Tyson Fury's level, like in terms of boxing skill. Like basically everyone was saying no. Tyson Fury is significantly better on the feet, or basically everywhere in terms of striking than Francis Ngannou. And I remember telling people that even with that, I feel like people are underestimating Francis Ngannou because I remember even his training videos. Like people were referring to his training videos and were like, he's going to get knocked out and all those type of things because apparently Francis Ngannou looked slow in those particular videos. And I remember telling them that, guys, have you watched Francis Ngannou fighting in the UFC? You can't necessarily say that you've seen those videos and then automatically you assume that that's his normal fighting speed. And I remember laughing when I was hearing people say, look at how slow he looks in those videos. Like even like media outlets, everyone was busy clowning Francis Ngannou leading up to that fight. And I remember saying specifically that Francis Ngannou will win this fight, and arguably I was right. Even though I think everyone, everyone who is objective and is not necessarily just following the majority. I think actually everyone who watched that fight knows that Francis Ngannou won that fight, right? Which is what I predicted when everyone was not giving him a shot. I think this time people are respecting him a little bit more, which is understandable. But my biggest concerns in this particular fight is that Anthony Joshua has power. Anthony Joshua basically has the same threats and dangers that Francis Ngannou brings to the table. Although when we look at in terms of sheer raw power on its own, Francis Ngannou has significantly more power, and I would argue that Francis Ngannou might. I'm not saying this is the actual case, but based on his previous fight with Tyson Fury, I would assume that he is better at, in terms of striking accuracy and defense because he never got knocked down. I don't think he was being hurt that much, as opposed to Anthony Joshua, who's been knocked out before and who's lost a couple of fights before. So this is going to be a tricky one because also another thing is Francis Ngannou is 37 while Anthony Joshua is like 34, which I've seen in heavyweight, in MMA, right? Heavyweight age works differently in higher weight classes like heavyweight and light heavyweight. It's a little bit different in from bantamweight going, not necessarily bantamweight, I mean from welterweight. From welterweight going down, once you get to 36, 30, 35 actually, like you start to decline a little bit. But at heavyweight, I think the age is a little bit like the cutoff age is a little bit higher. Maybe you can still perform at a peak, like at the top for maybe up until you're like maybe 40. So this is going to be very interesting because I've seen some boxers, become champions even in their late 40s. It's documented. So I don't know. I think Francis Ngannou has the ability to actually perform to perform beyond the age of 35. But I'm not going to sit here and say, well, that doesn't matter, because number one, Francis Ngannou is an amateur basically. He has only had one fight in boxing, right? And on top of that, he is older now. Like he's older now, and he's fighting a younger fighter. When you go through deep waters, I will be with you. When you go through rivers, okay. Thank you for that. So yeah, I think because of all the things that I've mentioned, it would make sense to say Anthony Joshua wins. But there's something about Francis Ngannou, man. Obviously, I've already highlighted the fact that I feel like between Anthony Joshua and Francis Ngannou, I think Francis Ngannou is the more technical boxer, and is the more, rather, he has good defense and offense. Um, I don't know who has a lot more power in boxing between the both of them, because Anthony Joshua has like 27 wins, if I'm not mistaken, and out of those 27 wins, he has 24 knockouts, which is crazy. And then on the other hand, I think Francis Ngannou has, I think 11. Also, your video is lagging. Just wanted to let you know. I'm sorry. Thank you for that. Of course, brother. Yes. Thank you for that. I'll try to fix it. Please let me know if it's still lagging. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, but let me try and continue and conclude this whole stream so that it doesn't take too long if it's lagging, because it's going to take a little bit more time to actually reset it. But continuing with what I was saying, Francis Ngannou has 11 knockouts, which is largely in, obviously, and not even largely, which is mainly in MMA and with different gloves. So it's kind of challenging to determine who has a little bit more power in boxing. However, I think anyone who has been watching Francis Ngannou in MMA already knows. I don't know if this is something that's it's a global record, or they just did it for MMA and promotion. But apparently, Francis Ngannou has the the hardest punch ever recorded in history, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't think gloves will make any difference if that's true. So my official prediction would be, it's unpopular once again, but I'll say Francis Ngannou is going to win. And my subscribers also picked the Francis Ngannou to win. Um, I think it's largely because I feel like there's something about his commitment to actually doing this, and for him to perform the way he did against the champion in his first, which is insane, in his first boxing match, he arguably beat the heavyweight champion of the world. You know, which was insane. But nonetheless, I feel like Francis Ngannou is going to find a way to do it. Whether it goes to decision or if it's a finish, I think Francis Ngannou is going to potentially win, and which is crazy because when you statistically, I posted the little bit of statistics that I found on them on my channel, on the shorts section of the channel. Statistically, I should be saying that Anthony Joshua should win this particular fight, because his finishing rate, his knockout rate is like 89%, I think, out of his total win. Out of Thank you for that. Out of his total wins, I think Anthony Joshua has knocked out 89% of his opponents, whereas Francis Ngannou has knocked out, I think, 65% of his opponents, right? So this is the crazy part about that particular thing, but I still feel like Francis Ngannou, with his ability to be defensively sound and offensively sound, and combining that with power, and the fact that Anthony Joshua has been knocked out before, and it seems like it affected his ability to be aggressive. So yeah, I think I'm going to go with Francis Ngannou. My subscribers also went with Francis Ngannou. In no way am I saying that it's going to be easy. Anthony Joshua can always I don't know, like knock out Francis Ngannou, even though it hasn't happened yet. He has never been knocked out before. I don't see that happening, but age might play a factor into that. But nonetheless, I still feel like, but I do think that Francis Ngannou is going to win that fight. Um, I decided to do this prediction now because obviously the fight is happening, I think, Friday, and I want to prepare for UFC 299. The predictions that I'm going to do for UFC 299. I'm really excited about that, so I want to start early and hopefully give you a little bit more than on my normal predictions. But a lot of people seem to love my predictions and how I do them, and so yeah, I won't deviate from that, but I'm trying to prepare a little bit sooner so that, if possible, I don't have to read from the screen and I can just do this because it seems like you guys enjoy it a little bit more when I look into the camera and talk to you as opposed to like reading off to the side while I'm live. Um, I might go live before Friday again, but the official predictions for UFC 299 will be coming Friday, and I'm super super excited for those predictions and the cards. But until then, I appreciate all of you watching, and until next time, deuces.